We are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're not live. We're gonna eventually be live, but the video is live, and we are here at Chaos Media. It is April 28th. Welcome. This is the third BM sessions we're having here. It's a lot of fun. We're gonna keep coming at you. We got a few things to talk about. There's been more stuff happening in Paris. We're gonna say some stuff about that. We got, Wikileaks is in the news always, and it's kind of a favorite topic of ours, so we'll probably talk a bit about that. We want to provide some Canadian content here because we are here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and we should probably have a local bit of news. I like local news anyways. And talk about the recent development with the Conservative Party, the O'Leary dropout. Flash in the pan that guy's been, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. So yeah, those are most of what we want to cover today. I saw another few things on the whole next Battle of Berkeley with Ann Coulter not speaking there, but
yeah, that was going on last night, I guess, was it?
Yeah, yesterday
Yeah.
the whole thing was.
Yeah.
Gavin McInnes, he actually showed up and read the speech, the bulletins of Ann's speech that she planned to give and didn't give.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Okay.
stood up there and actually gave the speech because Ann sent him the message apparently
Yeah?
on email.
Okay.
It was pretty interesting.
Nice. Nice.
They will not be stopped.
No? Yeah,
No.
did you see the speech then, or?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
It was bulletin form, so it wasn't like long or anything. I don't even know, only a couple minutes really. It didn't take that long.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the crowd seemed to eat it up.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it, I guess, was more peaceful this time. As you mentioned earlier, Antifa didn't show up, apparently. So
No, they were there.
they were there.
They
Okay.
showed up. They didn't bring
Yeah.
their sticks and crap this
Right.
time, though, because they had well-armed opponents this time. The free speech crowd had helmets, sticks, mace, everything. They were ready to throw down. If Antifa decided to come with the violence, they were going to get violated.
Yeah.
It didn't look like you can. We Are Change and Tim Pool and Lauren Southern, they were all there. They're live streaming the whole time. There's like a 4-hour video up of it you can go take a look at. I clicked through it. Some of it's kind of slow. There's some interesting points of debate where they get some debates going on. It's beautiful, actually. It's what the whole free speech is about, is to have these debates going on in the crowd. Like, people don't agree, so instead of coming with violence at each other, they're coming at each other with ideas. It's awesome. Yeah, it's beautiful to see. I don't think any violence occurred on the video portions that I watched.
Yeah,
anyways,
that's a good thing.
it's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about.
Peaceful protests, yeah. But yeah, I was looking further into I think the police chief who is was it the police chief or the mayor who told
mayor.
The mayor, okay.
Mayor told the police chief apparently to stand down.
And he's associated with that BAM, by all means necessary.
Yes, yeah, by all means necessary.
Which supports Antifa, I guess.
Supports violence.
I think one of the female professors, perhaps the one we talked about last time, was a main organizer in BAM.
Yvette or whatever, right? Yeah, I think that's the same girl. Don't quote us. Check it for yourselves with everything, of course. Question everything.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, there was that last night. I was sort of following it. I was mostly just paying attention to see if there would be any violence this time, which it's good that there wasn't. So.
Yeah. Victory.
But I guess there, Berkeley has this pretty historical university, so they have a lot going on the campus. Lots of protests and political action there.
Yeah, it's always been a place where that sort of stuff has happened. It's beautiful that it's stopped being violent. Because that's the place that's been so historical, having good conversations. You want to see good conversations happen there, if nowhere else. Like it's such a legacy thing.
Yeah, and what's going on the campuses right now with the whole, microaggressions and everything, and safe spaces, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, I went to university for a short while. I didn't get a degree at the time for a variety of reasons, but it was definitely not like that a decade ago. We didn't have the same sort of structures that we're seeing in the universities now. So it's very interesting to pay attention to that and what's going on there, because these are our future intellectuals. Well, there are the intellectuals now that are going out into the world and see
and not getting jobs.
Well, yeah, what kind of values they have and beliefs, so it's a very interesting.
It's quite the flashpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Coming together now, like people educated but not working, and frustration that brings, and then it manifests in crap like Antifa, or some of these hateful right wingers potentially, or hateful left wingers. Hateful people. Period.
Well, we're seeing the radicalization on both sides, like the far right and the far left is coming out and basically having these brawls on the street.
Yeah, and this is true over in Paris as well, right? I mean, ever since that first election finished, I think they've had troubles in the streets most nights for people being fed up. I think there was schools, or at least one school, I think multiple schools, but multiple buildings were shut up. They stacked garbages in front of everything. You know how Antifa loves their garbages. But they stacked everything in front of the doors, and they were just pissed. They're like, okay, so we gotta go for the fascist, which is they're referring to Le Pen, or the capitalist fascist, which is referring to Macron or whatever. So they hate their choices over there. They're really pissed about the two people that are available. At least the liberal left or whatever feels like they don't have a horse in this race. So that, I guess it's very parallel to the whole
I was
American.
going to say that's very parallel, because they're throwing in two very unpopular candidates. It's interesting to see Le Pen sort of try and separate herself from her now that we're on to the second round of voting here. See her kind of separate herself from the Front National.
Yeah, well, I mean, her father was pretty rough with all that, so I think that's a hard thing to shake off when you're the daughter. But she's done what she can to try to lay that so far. All she can try to do is emphasize that once again, I suppose. But it's not very long till that election happens. May 9th is when they all...
May 7th, I think.
7th?
Yeah, but yeah.
We're gonna give you wrong information because I'm an idiot. Anyways, 7th. Yeah, it should be exciting. About a week away.
It'll be. I think it is going to be pretty close. I don't know. Like I said last time, if Le Pen could pull off a win, given that I think it's if you go by the mainstream polls, she's got like a 10% gap at least to overcome. So the American election was much closer.
But were the polls?
Well, the polls were, though, as well. They didn't necessarily show Trump 10% off. They were, for the most part.
I think some did. I think
some might have.
Probably BuzzFeed had that. Don't quote me that BuzzFeed was, but I'm sure there was some of the crazier.
It was pretty close all along. So it was just more of the media narrative they were building up there. There was no way that Trump could win. But even the polls that had Hillary Clinton, she wasn't winning by that much. So it was a very plausible outcome when he did in fact win, and it just shocked so many people because they were living in their little bubbles. Who knows what's going to happen with France?
Yeah. I'm kind of more interested in the whole voter apathy thing. Like their turnout in France is usually pretty good, but a lot of these kids are saying they're not gonna.
Yeah,
vote,
well,
right?
it was huge compared to the States. I think it was 80% or something in France for this first round of ballots, and in the States, in Canada as well. It's usually barely like 50%.
Or 30.
Yeah,
Depends
it's
on
nuts.
If it was a Harper election, it might have been 30%.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's crazy crap. Speaking Canadian politics, we had Mr. O'Leary drop out of the Conservative race this week. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Yay!
It's I mean, at least he was honest
Yeah.
with the fact that he didn't feel if he were the chosen candidate that he would be able to defeat Trudeau in Quebec.
I think it's very impressive that a slick guy like that comes out looking honest from this entire experience. You know,
I mean, yeah,
he did honestly make me think that he was a straight shooter in a way, and you know, being a businessman, I'm not sure that's really possible. So, at least when you have like, you know, he had that rough Mattel deal back in the day where he pretty much like sold him a lump of crap, called it gold. You know, so he's obviously had his previous poor business dealings and sold himself as a pro, much like Trump, much as any businessman, right?
Well, that's the thing about business, though. You end up taking a lot of risks and having a lot of unsuccessful attempts with the success that you have quite often. I know a fair number of people in business who now have successful businesses and so forth. And I mean, there's a lot of ups and downs in business in the free market economy. So
if we had one,
yeah,
copyright laws and all this other crap, it's an impediment to the free market, in my opinion. But hey,
but it's good. I think that, like we said, that he was honest in the fact that he didn't feel he was fit for the job. It's a good realization to come to, probably, for him.
Well, better to come to that before than afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see Trump's remarks about thinking that his
on Reuters?
I think it was, yeah. The president being president's hard. You don't have privacy.
Yeah, it was an exclusive with Reuters. I follow Reuters. They're sort of one of my main sources for news.
Oh yeah, so no kidding, you'd saw that. That's like the top headline, right?
Yeah, but again, I mean, I think that's showing honesty. Like, I imagine being president of the United States is a hard job, right? So, so the fact that he's saying that, it's like, okay, good. That's good that he's recognizing the challenges in it. So, but it was an interesting read for sure.
It also implies that he got caught with his pants down, not knowing what was coming at him, right? Like, he totally underestimated this situation.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, having never held a political office before to go to being the president is not an easy transition. And
not to mention being a Democrat, now being the head of the Republicans, right? I mean, like, that's... I don't know how that happened. That was an amazing trick. That's how that happened. Trump pulls off some amazing tricks.
Yeah. Well, and
that's like, you know, like Kevin O'Leary, same thing up here. You know, he's pulled off some amazing tricks. Lives most of his time in Boston, but running for the.
He was predominantly in the States for most of his brief campaign period here. So.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he does point out that he is a well-known figure in the States and that what he says matters, you know. He is a voice of Canada, whether you agree with him or not. Like, you know, it's like Bill O'Reilly. He's a voice for America. You know, whether you agree with him or not, like, there was a revolt when he got fired, right? People were pissed. They love that guy, you know. But whether you like him or not, internationally, people listen to them. So... That was definitely going for Kevin O'Leary, but putting his support behind Mad Max, that's that I didn't really see that coming. You know, they were like top rivals, bad mouthing each other. Max actually called O'Leary a loser.
Yeah, well, I guess perhaps I mean, I don't know what he was thinking, but perhaps it's you know, a sense of he didn't feel he could defeat Trudeau in Quebec. He knows that Maxime Bernier most likely has that possibility, at least. So
yeah, he has the support in Quebec, and he's managed to do what a lot of conservative Quebec candidates haven't been able to do, and that's garner some support in the West here. I know when he came through, he actually had a fairly good reception. I mean, people were leaning O'Leary here for sure. I think O'Leary was strong in the West.
Again, it's the whole Trump celebrity effect. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan. You know,
Jesse the Body Ventura.
If you have celebrity status in this society these days, you
got political clout, son.
Yeah, you're elevated to almost this like godlike level. So to campaign for political office, given that, it never really surprises me that these people do well. I was far less shocked than many people when Trump was elected. I saw it coming. You know, it doesn't surprise me when I see celebrities who've turned into politics that are successful. That are successful regardless of their political or qualifications for the job. So I agree. I think had he stayed, there was definitely quite a lot of support, and I think he would have got the nomination for the party, but I don't think he would have been able to perhaps not defeat Trudeau. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends how much you judge a man by his previous deeds, right? I mean, how many people watch Dragon's Den and actually like that guy? You know, I think he was largely disliked by the fans of that show.
Well, he's kind of
he had his niche
troll,
crowd, right? Like, he's totally a troll.
Yeah, yeah.
He does some troll work.
That's the whole thing, and would be his potential appeal among the same sort of audience that liked Trump for being a troll.
True enough. Yeah.
However, he is maybe somewhat of a phony Canadian imitation. I don't know. He didn't seem to hold
kind of American imitation, like, because he's
yeah.
No, he's always in America. But yeah, no, I'm not so sad about Max potentially winning the conservative leadership out of like some of the conservatives. I'm not a conservative, so I don't know what my opinion matters particularly. But Maxime Bernier, other than his stance on the CRTC, I can pretty much get behind him. You know, he talks sense. But the CRTC thing bothers me. I need my internet is my priority. I think it's a right. You know, the right to information, to the right to knowledge, and the internet's a lot of things.
So what's his CRTC thing?
Yeah, he doesn't think that the small competitors that we're kind of forcing into the market. He doesn't think that we have the population, like the sort of the demand for that sort of thing. But I mean, the reason we're forcing these people in is because like Bell, Rogers, you know, TELUS, they're all gouging us.
Right. Yeah.
We have some of the highest prices in the world for our cell phones, internet, cable, all this stuff. I don't know why Canada has to get hit so hard. The airlines too. Like, I don't know. We're a big country. I guess infrastructure has something to do with it, but I don't know, man. So he doesn't believe in those smaller companies. So he's kind of gone back on that. But I mean, pretty much anything else, I can totally give Max a nod. I think he's got a good shot to defeat Justin Trudeau because he is a Quebecois, and Quebec is the Florida of Canada. You know, they've decided so many of our elections, right? I mean, that's why the West gets frustrated, because they feel like they don't have that voice. They're not represented because Quebec decides so often. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure.
Speaking of interesting to see, Miss Pamela Anderson, our Canadian export, she keeps showing up with Julian Assange. That's
that's an interesting
hot
segue
little
there.
affair
Going there. Yeah, apparently, hey, that's a thing.
Apparently, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, good for him, man. Good for her. Just they're finding a happy place together, and hey, she's bringing some attention to a guy I want to see some attention brought to.
Yeah. He I guess that was our segue into sort of WikiLeaks talk here, Julian
Maybe.
Assange talk. I think it's a good segue. So yeah, that's a big topic.
Well, I mean, Trump's bringing or trying to bring, at least Sessions, anyways, the Attorney General office is trying to bring charges against Julian Assange.
Well, that's been his concern all along, is that if he's extradited to the U.S., they're going to charge him for, I'm not sure what the
Whatever they try to charge
treason.
whistleblowers with.
Treason would be probably something like that, from his massive amount of information he's leaked over the years. But I'm a big fan of Julian Assange.
Me
and
too.
WikiLeaks.
Their information that they've leaked has been invaluable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I as a Bernie supporter, them telling us about the DNC leaks and what a horrible person Debbie Weiserman Schultz is for overseeing that whole crap. Yeah, that was mad respect after that for sure. I mean, I didn't mind him going after, Bush. I didn't mind him going after Obama. I don't mind him going after Trump. Screw the establishment, man. They're trying to hide stuff from us clearly. So it's necessary.
Well, it's really, the concept of it is really valuable and pertinent, because the information they're releasing is, they do release it strategically. We've seen that obviously this past year, that he and his organization are very much releasing things at strategic points.
Well, it certainly screwed Hillary.
Exactly, yeah. And the way that, like, he's holding on to information right now, apparently
Year zero.
huge amounts of information that haven't been released.
It's coming this year, though, right?
Yeah.
Supposedly.
So they do release things strategically, that's for sure. But what they release is untainted information. It's just straight up
Arguably.
leaks. Well, it's never been proven otherwise.
Yes.
So they have an untarnished record of just releasing
Arguably untarnished
documents from various organizations around the world, and that level of transparency when you see it, and some of the things that are going on in governments and organizations, and they're exposing that, like, that is
the good work.
Exactly. It's I don't know what to call it. It's like he's doing the right thing.
God's work. Call it God's work, man.
That's what came to mind, but I was like, I'm not gonna call it God's work on this show.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to be anti-religion around here, but I mean,
I suppose
we don't not acknowledge there being a something to the universe, right? I mean, whether you call it God or, like, science or, whatever the ununderstandable is, that which cannot be explained, essentially God.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing the right thing with the leaks. I guess there's I was just reading before we did this, there's apparently a new documentary out on him by Laura, I can't pronounce her last name, Poitras, I think. It's like
Poitras?
Yeah, the lady who did the Snowden.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is her third part of. I haven't seen her first film, but this is.
What was that on? No idea.
It was after 9/11.
Okay.
Obviously
she's a conspiracy girl.
Well, I don't know if it was so much conspiracy, more just like
those
exposing.
are conspiracy topics.
Yeah, I suppose. But yeah, that was her first film. I didn't see that, and then obviously saw the Snowden one.
Super good. Everyone watch it.
What was it called?
What?
The Snowden one?
Oh,
I can't remember. It's Citizen 4? Yeah, I think Citizen 4. It's Citizen something. At any rate, that was kind of Edward Snowden's code name for communicating with her. But yeah, she did a film on Assange. This is her third film in the series, and she released it originally in about a year ago, in like March of 2016.
Originally.
Yeah, that was the initial release, and it was just sort of a film about WikiLeaks and Assange, but she's been involved with romantically involved with one of the sort of top hackers out there who's been involved in WikiLeaks, the Applebaum guy, Jake, I don't know his first name. Applebaum.
That rings bells.
But no, and he was sort of confiding into her that he's perhaps, seen evidence of Julian Assange, like treating women however he's allegedly treated them.
Oh, is that where that comes from?
Well, it comes from, so he in Sweden, I guess. Yes, Sweden.
That's where the charges are.
There are charges from women who say that he sexually assaulted them. And then this, I guess there's always been some degree of debate over that, whether or not those are legitimate charges or not. So Laura's first cut of this film was just pretty much just focusing on Julian Assange and what he's done with WikiLeaks. But after becoming involved with this other guy, who's a friend of Julian's, she started hearing more about the apparent allegations of sexual misconduct with women. So she's also, I don't know where she stands on the political spectrum, but anyway, she was concerned with his sort of interference with the election, in terms of the whole belief that he was pro-Trump and anti-Clinton, strategically releasing.
And she's pro-Clinton, potentially?
I'm not sure, but she
was pissed about the association between him and Trump, though.
Right. She felt that, he unfairly tipped the scales of the election in Trump's favor, and that he was
what he's always trying to do.
Well, she felt he was taking a partisan view, but really, I mean, I don't think he's
been partisan. I think he's gone after everybody.
He does go after everyone. That's the ridiculousness.
I don't see your point on that.
In the whole situation, though, and where we talked about the Russian allegations. WikiLeaks, he's just releasing leaked information and emails and that kind of stuff. I'm laughing because the Russia thing is just such a joke. I don't know if that seems like a good direction.
There's no question that they mess around with propaganda in our country, but so does our country. I say our country. America, but they mess around with Canada too, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Well, America's intervened.
Everyone messes with everybody.
Mm-hmm. The U.S. has intervened in at least about 50 different documented cases of elections and political campaigns in the recent history. So it's kind of a joke that then they're Russia, you can't do that, even though they, as far as I can tell, based on the research I've done, it's a lie that the Russians intervened in the
or caused the outcome to be different.
Well, they played their words well, because the first headlines when it was coming out was Russians hacked the election. So that makes you think that that statement that
they changed the voter count or something, right?
Yeah, that's what they were trying, and they were doing that, I believe, on purpose, is trying to sort of put that out there.
Republicans love voter fraud, man. It's rampant. We have to do something about it. You need 16 forms of identification and a brand, and then you can vote.
But they were trying to put that out there in the consciousness that the Russians hacked the election, which makes you think they directly did something on election day to skew the numbers in Trump's favor.
But what they're actually talking about is they like have social media releases or something like that, or they release like they troll essentially the American government.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
they
then
encourage
then
these.
if you read beyond the headlines in the story and the further stories that came out, it's that they colluded with perhaps WikiLeaks and in terms of hacking these emails. So then comes the point that, okay, if they did that, which we haven't really seen any solid evidence that they did yet, I've read most of these reports that have come out by the government. Like it was only like the initial report was a 3-page report. It was horribly vague, describing how the Russians exactly.
Is that really a great launch pad? Vagueness really gets your message out.
Yeah,
Solid base.
How they did this. So I lost my train of thought, but what was I talking about?
You're talking about how
You interrupted me. No.
it's my fault. I killed it. It
Um,
was the Russians, man. It was the Russians or social media influences. You know how they didn't actually get the voter count different.
Right. So, I mean, if they did that, which they didn't, based on what I've read, the argument, really, when you boil it down, is that the information that was released that affected the election, that the hack in the election was them hacking emails that, made Hillary Clinton's campaign look bad based on things that actually happened, right?
Yeah.
So
It should actually look bad for.
This is journalism. I mean, it's
what journalism used to be.
Exactly. So they're reporting on things that make someone look bad that actually the person did or the party did, which is totally, that's you can't say that's unfairly tipping the scales of an election.
They're just bitter because the WikiLeaks is doing what they should be doing, and they see that, and they're threatened. They're like, "Oh man, we're gonna lose like credibility because there's someone actually doing journalism, right? Like people are gonna see through our crap," and like they have essentially, right? And that's why they're losing all of their viewership and whatnot. Like as people get old and die, so do their viewership. Essentially, young people watch YouTube or something like it.
Yeah, so with WikiLeaks then, I mean, now we're into year 0, and for people that don't know, that's basically
it's been the CIA so far.
But in February, I believe, WikiLeaks started just after Trump was taken office. They started releasing all these cryptic sort of tweets like Vault 7 and these various,
pictures.
It was very like, they're trying to hype up something that they said was big. And based on their past and what they've done, I was very stoked for this. I'm a big WikiLeaks guy, as you can see.
Many people on the internet were stoked for it, right?
Yeah, so I was up. I remember we've been chatting for a while, trying to get this show off the ground, talking all this stuff. I remember I was up all night that night. Like, this is the stuff that
the new Bible.
This is the stuff that I get excited for. Other people, it's sports and like the Super Bowl or whatever. Me, it's I want to see this potentially. These documents that are going to potentially change the course of humanity.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm up. He's trying to have his news conference, and he's live streaming like this, and the stream's getting interrupted. It's obviously getting hacked. Like they are always targeted by hostile, probably government, CIA hackers.
Well, he was ripping the CIA on this latest release, right?
So yeah, they were
doing everything they can to shut him down.
Yeah, they were trying to exactly shut him down, suppress this, try and get this to not come out, try and minimize the damage that it was have. But then eventually he's doing this stream. It keeps breaking up. He's trying to do like a legitimate press release. They're just hacking it, making it not possible. So he's just like, fuck it, and he just releases the password because he had given the documents for download the night before. So they released the password, and it was like this 50 character password from one of JFK's quotes, shatter the CIA into 1,000 pieces. That was one of legitimately, if we look that up, unfortunately we don't have the means to play media clips quite yet, but that was quoted in one of his quotes. So immediately, like, oh, this is shit's going down here. And then we open it, and you see that further evidence from, or further we're furthering the story of what Snowden brought to us a few years ago, that at that time the NSA was listening to all our conversations and watching us on our cell phones at all times if they want to. And so
activating things that are actually off.
Mm-hmm.
That was the thing that blew my mind. It's like, it's off, but they can still turn it on.
Mm-hmm. So this was taking that a step further, and we now know the CIA is doing this.
Many world governments, right? Like,
well,
they're all in collusion.
And they're able to, like it described in great detail, various ways in which the CIA is able to, all the different things the CIA is doing to spy on people,
regular people that haven't done anything, that shouldn't have anything to hide, but they're collecting data anyways, as if one day we might do something, and then use that. Like, it might not even be a thing that is related, but they could construe it to be so. There's a whole bunch of worries tied to this entire thought.
They will. Some of the other things that came out, they could hack into these cars that are now connected to
the internet.
I have an old as shit car, so I don't know how this works, but yeah, they're connected to some sort of internet,
Wi-Fi, right?
I'm talking like I'm from ages ago, but yeah, they are.
Billy.
They are, and they can hack into this and potentially cause an accident. So if they want,
that was a big deal with me. When I got my 2013 Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
Like, I asked, like, is the brake a real brake or is it an electronic brake?
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to make sure that I could stomp on the brake in case like some crazy shit went wrong. Right. So that was a big deal. My gas pedal in that thing it's totally electronic. If I have an electronic breakdown, my gas doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's fine. That means I don't go speeding into friggin' trees or walls or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and then like people have done that though, right? Like famous, rich, important people have died in these crazy car wrecks, right? People have hacked and killed these people essentially. That's the implication after this release anyways, right? So it's like, this whole other world opens up, and you're like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, well, the CIA is crazy. I mean, WikiLeaks is like
they have no like restraint, right? Like they just go hog wild, do whatever the hell they want.
I saw a document about their heart attack gun from the 70s. Like, this is a legit gun they have. It shoots a dart into your neck or whatever, just like in Bond, and
gives you a stimulant, and
you have a heart attack in the next.
Provable.
Yeah.
They have documents released.
It's kind of so it's scary, that goes on, and then that these people are spying on us, and so anyways, back to
really it's their actions that are questionable, right? It's like
yeah, and that's the idea, I guess, behind libertarianism and so forth, is taking back your personal liberties out of the hands of these people who we didn't vote on this. They
kind of just decided it. Oh yeah, we know best. Don't worry.
Always in the name of national security.
Yeah.
So with year zero here, the idea is, I guess, that WikiLeaks just says apparently that was a huge release, and again, I was paying big attention on the day of. I was up watching it. I remember I was every hour I would search in the CNN search bar they have up top I would look. I just looked in WikiLeaks, and continually. It took them like 12 hours until they even reported on this, when this is a huge story to be reporting on. Meanwhile, they were probably talking about the Russians hacking the election.
It's pertinent information, man. Everyone needs to know about that. They haven't been ramming it down our throats for weeks and months.
So, yeah, with this, it's apparent it's a huge amount of information, but according to WikiLeaks, which again has a pretty much 100% solid record, they say this is only, after that first release, it was only 90 or 1% of what they had, which means, you know, they have 99% more data to release, and what it based on the previous release and what they've indicated, it's basically information to just tear apart the CIA. Yeah, so that's huge.
Screw authority.
That's huge.
You think you're friggin' invulnerable up there with your Secret Service and you know, just running whatever friggin' plays around the world you think are, you know, usurping whoever the hell you think is a threat, and putting in these questionable, bloodthirsty bastards who are willing to work with the CIA, you know, like their track record's so bad.
Well, it's awful.
Go ahead and take any amount of research into the released documents on the crap the CIA has gotten up to. I don't see how anyone backs that friggin' joint.
They're always lying, like they.
Well, they're the people to create the narrative, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they came up with all of the bad terms for friggin' revolutionaries, you know, like friggin' they demonize the drugs. They just everything, man. They suck. I'm so glad to see Julian Assange and WikiLeaks standing up to these bastards that thought they were invulnerable for so long. Do whatever the hell they want, get away with anything. The day of reckoning, or at least the year 0 of reckoning, is here. So we're definitely lapping that up like a couple of thirsty puppies, man, for sure.
That is that's the big thing for me. As I say, I'm a big WikiLeaks guy.
Truth.
And I am that way because, you know, I know that what they release is
you can check it out.
Yeah, it hasn't been fabricated. You can look it up.
There's lots of evidence to support it.
So
generally,
and when they're exposing what they're exposing, it is a great thing. So
important stuff that they expose, right?
Whistleblowers in general.
Yeah, man. Like, you got to give a shout out to these people. I mean, he's exonerated Snowden essentially with CIA releases. You know, Chelsea Manning or whatever. You know, another exonerated person. Like, these whistleblowers are really important. Like, I don't understand people that want to prosecute them. They are literally giving up their lives. Like, Snowden had a good gig. You think he really wanted to give all that up to go to, like, motherland Russia? Like, you know, Russia's all right, I guess, but it's not friggin' America. America's awesome. Mostly, in its own way. It's got some really terrible leaders, but mostly America's pretty awesome. It's pretty free.
Yep.
Mostly.
Democracy is a great thing, even though we don't necessarily.
Mostly. Not having a knowledgeable population makes democracy really troublesome. If you got dumbass people voting that don't understand issues, doesn't make for a system that works super great.
Yeah. And that's why you need to educate people and have intelligent conversations, debate things.
Increase the intelligence of everybody, and democracy works again.
Not get too attached to your ideas in terms of forming your identity, because you are something much more than your ideas, be them political or whatever. At the end of the day, we're all humans and can come together. Hopefully, that would be the goal, peacefully, and not let these differences in small differences in belief get between.
It's always the ones that are splitting hairs that are the most mad at each other, right? It's like when you're perceived to be on the same team, but you don't agree on something, it's like it's extra bloody. It's like
Mm.
you want to purify the message, right? And like, purification is often a word for like, cleansing, for murder, for eradication, right? Like it's not a great atmosphere to perpetuate. You don't want to get into that sort of thing for sure. Humans have always done better together. Like we built everything together. You can look into your religious books and see that, you can look in science, like the technology that we've been able to create together. Like this is possible because we work together as a world. Like our cell phones come from friggin' China for the most part, right? Like, and we get the mining for all those minerals and stuff. A lot of that comes from like, Africa or like everywhere, right? Like to build what we have, especially in our bubble here in the West, takes a lot of togetherness,
I
people.
think Afghanistan has a lot of the lithium that we need for all these our phones and these new batteries and stuff.
Well, hopefully in Alberta here, we got one of these lithium plants opening up.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, man, it's super cool. Apparently, they figured out something with, like, the old wells or, like, old, like, dirty areas from oil harvesting. Apparently, you can go into some of these areas and they grow lithium. Like, there's this one guy, he's gotten some funding, and I think they're building a manufacturing plant somewhere or some sort of infrastructure in order to get this going. It's going to help Alberta get on the map worldwide as far as lithium goes, because that's where the batteries are at, right? Lithium batteries are the way forward for the most part. And the cars, all the cars that they want to make use lithium. All the Elon Musk batteries or whatever, the in-house ones, I forget what you call those, but you use them to store your solar and your wind power that you collect, sort of deal. Those Tesla batteries,
right?
Yeah, those things. They're all made with lithium. And if we're getting this going on in Alberta here, that's going to really help us out, because our resources that we use for our income, it's not going to be here forever. That we have uses for oil. We still need to get that crap out of the ground today, probably. Hopefully in 10, 20 years, we don't need to do that anymore. And the lithium will be where it's at. And Alberta will hopefully still be going strong. Buy property in Alberta here. It's a good place to be. We got Chinooks in the south. Come south. The winter sucks up north. Come south. Not too far south. Lethbridge, it's really, really windy. I like Lethbridge, but, the wind can drive you nuts. Be prepared.
With the lithium, though, you still need to generate the power to put in, like, on the electrical grid to put in the lithium.
Yeah. Well, exactly one of the reasons we still need, like, some oil and some of those other power sources in order to build the infrastructure and system of renewables that is totally possible. You just need to kill some friggin' copyright things and give it to the public and let them go crazy. And, I think that'll bring about the energy revolution anyways. People want it. Everyone wants it. People don't want to be affecting the environment the way we are, polluting the way we have been. Pisses people off, man. Some people want to make a buck, but I think a lot of people want the world to be a place we can live in.
Well, I'm really, one of the areas of interest I have that I'm not very knowledgeable in, and I'd like to bring someone in on the show, is the idea of free energies, so 0 point quantum energy, whatever you want to call it. The ability,
Gyroscopes.
It's definitely a controversial subject. A lot of people would say it's completely bogus.
What, renewables?
No, free energy. So you're harnessing 0 point energy, like you would have a free energy device that it literally would just sit here on the desk. I mean, there's people that claim that they have working machines. Probably a lot of these claims are, bogus.
I've seen a couple, like the water one is bogus or whatever. The water engine. How is that? So hard to find words sometimes. There's a water engine I remember my brother giving me crap about for sharing on Facebook. He's like, that's actually not a sustainable thing. And he gave me the answers on it, and I didn't remember because I'm a scrub. But yeah, so that's an example of one of these things that supposedly could work but doesn't. But I mean, like, if you have enough initial investment, sometimes the long term is where you overcome that flashpoint too, right? So like, you set up the solar panels, and over the course of 5 to 6 years, they hit a point where they're paying for way beyond their upkeep.
Yeah.
And they've paid for their initial cost, right?
Yeah,
so
totally. There's definitely like promise to that, and renewables are certainly a good way to go, but I've seen some promise, and there's lots of people who talk about it and claim that it's very suppressed subject matter, that free energy is a thing.
It's just not profitable.
Exactly, that there's massive suppression on it because it would change things as
ruin
we know
the
it,
economy. It would ruin the economy we've built.
And a lot of the
problems
of poverty in the third world are due to not having an access to the power grid. So
yeah, mechanical advantage is insanely huge. Like, once you gain that, you can do so much more, right?
Yeah, so it's it's an interesting subject matter. I don't want to completely dismiss it. I also am skeptical by nature. I like to ask questions, so I want to know. Like, it's something I'd like to get to the bottom of. I don't know if we can do that on the show. It's probably
not unless we have some sort of guest, of course.
Well, we'll get a guest on, and we can talk about it.
Definitely sounds
nothing wrong with talking about it, right?
Oh man, it's certainly interesting to speculate, but it's good to get expert knowledge on it too.
And opposing viewpoints.
So much research. Gotta have that debate, man. Feels so good. I love seeing debate.
All right. Well, was there anything else you wanted to talk about? I know we kind of had
a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we kind of had a time limit here, so we're reaching the end of the show for today.
Thank you for joining us once again.
Yeah. Nothing else for today?
Well, you could go praise Keck. Just go get some Kecks online. Do that. Do that. That's
your
what
daily
we want to
dose
say.
of trolling.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, thanks for joining us today. This thing's. I wonder if this. No, it hasn't been shaking the whole show.
It's been shaking the whole show.
Oh man. Well, we gotta.
We're trying more camera stuff.
We had to use my onboard laptop camera today because my better camera we're having technical difficulties with, but we're hoping to get that all fixed.
We're working
soon,
through it.
So,
3 shows, 3 different cameras. We're gonna keep going anyway. Screw it.
Yeah. All right. So thanks for joining us on episode 3, and we'll look forward to seeing you again.